Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel God Will Do It For You. My name is Steven and I hope everyone's having a great day so far. And what we're going to be talking about today is often why do you always find yourself alone, especially if you've been chosen by God for a particular path. So if you're like, you know what, God has given me a specific task and the vision that I have I know is unique. Why am I alone? Why do I keep finding myself alone? In other particular topics, they'll say you're going through a season of isolation, but oftentimes, even when you come out of that, you still find yourself alone. And so what I did was I took the liberty to just study some of the men of great wisdom, men and women. And, Miles Monroe, he said something really great that stood out, and I got my notepads. And he said, whenever you decide to become yourself, you become lonely because everyone around you wants you to be like them, or they want you to be them. And this is why we often find ourselves alone, because trendsetters, they usually don't take advice from other people when it comes to, should I do this? They don't need that validation from others because there's this belief in themselves. They're like, why do I have this thought? Why do I have these talents? Why do I have this skill? Whatever the case may be, all you have to do is just listen to your environment, listen to the surroundings, listen to how others talk. And if you didn't hear it from God, trust me, that in its own will give you the sign that, hey, there's something unique about me. And at that point, that's when you go to prayer and seek God for clarity regarding the visions and the dreams that you're having. Because when you discover that you are unique, special, and decide to pursue and achieve what you are dreaming, loneliness is the result. And the reason this is because oftentimes now you're starting to distance yourselves from others. And at that point, you are set apart. Again, this is all intentional for the process of refinement, because we don't understand what we're really asking for or what we're really aspiring to become, and the gravity of the impact that you will have on others' lives. One person that sticks out like a sore thumb is Tyler Perry. And I know there's many other people, but he was going after his plays for 7 years with no real results, barely making enough money to even pay the people that he had to act for him with the plays. And for 7 years of just nothing, not realizing how big what he was hoping and asking for and trying to achieve would get, and how many people's lives that he would impact, how many people that have jobs because of that now, how many people that he could change their life by giving them opportunity in one of his plays or movies or whatever the case may be. He never knew that it would be this. And sometimes God has to see, do we really want it? Because oftentimes during our season of loneliness, or the period of loneliness you have in your life, you're waiting, and the waiting period is long. But during that waiting period, you're being tested, tried, your faith is being tested, the enemy's testing you. God is throwing relentless tests at you to see how bad you really want it, to see if you're willing to stay the course, to see if you believe in the vision that you've received. And this is why every true vision only has one believer at first. That's you. If you believe in what you're trying to aspire, you're usually the only person that believes it. I remember when I first started to tell people, hey, I could be a music producer, and people used to say, well, you're going to school for accounting, why don't you just handle their money? That's a dream job, man. And so, immediately the vision was being shot down, and I had to make an intentional decision. Like, you know what? It is possible. I know I have a child, and I know music producers dedicate their lives to their craft, and the most successful ones don't have any children. Metro Boomin, if you know who he is, and many others, they don't have any children, or they get children after they've reached a certain level of success. But for me, I'm like, well, God, if you give me the ability to become successful, not only will this inspire those that have children that things are possible, but I'll also be able to show my son that it's okay if you feel like you made a mistake in life, or you feel like you had some things out of order, opposed to the way that you would have done if you could change things. Whatever the case may be, it's still possible. You just got to lean on God. And when everything is all said and done, you'll be able to say, this was not me, this was all God. And that's why what attracts people to you is when you decide you don't care about being lonely and you're going to still pursue the vision. So once you've made up your mind that, you know what, I don't care if I lose friends, I don't care if family isn't for me, I don't care if I have nobody clapping or patting me on the back, I'm still going to pursue this. I believe in it that wholeheartedly that this is possible. You have to believe. You have to believe even when you don't see it. Again, Tyler Perry didn't see anything. He was getting ready to give up. And the day that he was getting ready to give up, he had a choo-choo train. And guess what happened after that? He said that they did so many plays in 1 year, every single one of them sold out. It just blew him up. That's what I'm saying. When God is ready to do what he wants to do, he will catapult you. That's what Joseph waited 13 years, and he was catapulted from a prisoner to second in command. Do you understand how big of a jump that is? Like how he was thrusted into position. He bypassed all the steps. God saw that he was ready and put him there. And that's why when we have to use our aloneness properly, we have to use our aloneness properly. Because the times that you are alone, when you don't have any distractions, if you're not in a relationship, or if you don't have any kids, you have to be very intentional with your time. You don't have time to be sitting around watching TV all day. Like, hey, you know what? I binge watched 7 episodes. Unless you're on vacation, you just don't got the time to do that. You have to be intentional, because you never know when God is going to add into your life more responsibility. A relationship is a big responsibility as a man. And for a woman, understanding the gravity of what y'all are asking for as well is more serious than you think. And this is why a lot of relationships fail, because some people really don't understand the gravity of what they are asking for. You are asking for a life partner. You have to understand that comes with that. You have to understand. Same thing with a child. Now, I was just talking to my friend the other day. I said, man, it's crazy that you never really get told how drastically busy your life gets when one child is added in. So 2, 3, 4, your life gets more busy. There's more responsibility. But this is what we ask for. This is what we want. So God is like, I hope you understand what you're asking for, because it's a lot more responsibility. It's going to cost sacrifice. Sacrifice. And that's why a leader is always lonely, because they're out in the front. If you have everyone around you, you are part of the crowd. If you're going to be a trendsetter, if you're going to be a leader, if you're going to do something that's going to change people's lives, is going to help be a part of changing the world, you're going to be out in the front, and you're going to draw in the crowd. You're not going to be a part of it. And at that point, that's exactly why you have to be set apart. That's why you find yourself alone. You're like, man, I don't really have any friends, because I promise you, I have like maybe one male friend. And even then, so it's like I have one male friend. That's it. I mean, he's a godly man. That's the only reason I keep him in the loop. But that's it. And sometimes God is like, that's all you need. That's all you need. Everybody feels like they have to have 15, 20 different people to always talk to and this and that. When God's like, no, during that long time where you don't have somebody to lean on, you need to be talking to me. You need to be talking to me, because if I give you what you're asking for now, you might not be ready for it. And I know some people are like, what else do I need to do? What else do I need to go through? I promise you, God will see how bad you really want it. He will. And that's why leaders choose to be alone. Every great leader found their true self when they were alone. For instance, Moses in the wilderness, 40 years. Jesus in the desert for 40 days. Paul in the desert. And many others. You always find your true self. You start to realize who you really are when you're alone, because the amount of persistence that you put into what you're trying to do, it will show to others that, start getting curious. They're like, I haven't heard from this person this night. What are you doing? They're like, I'm been relentless. And now all of a sudden you got this put in place, this put in place, this put in place, this put in place, this put in place. And trust me, as you are doing what you are supposed to do, and as you are seeking God, He will add everything else that you need. But the foundation is what it is. It's the beginning. And when you understand the process of what you are trying to achieve, you'll know how to take care of it. You'll know how to make hard decisions when you don't want to. You'll understand that this is going to require sacrifice. It may cost me some relationships. It may cost me some friendships. It may cost me some family ties that I did not want to sever. But if it's going to be a benefit for the world, if it's going to impact so many people's lives, just like Joseph, then sometimes you have to be set apart. Sometimes you have to go ahead so that way you can bring those with you. Because that's what happened with Joseph. His family thought that they were doing him in, not realizing that he was going to be the person that saves their very life from that famine. They had no idea. And that's why they were scared, because they were like, oh crap, he has the power to do us in. But he wept and he forgave them and welcomed with open arms. That's what God is looking for. He's looking at, if I give you the power, if I give you the influence, the ability, will you take it to an advantage like Gideon did in the Bible? Gideon got the power and killed everybody that slighted him. That's not what God wants. He doesn't want you doing things out of spite or just because you got the power. And that's why you have to maintain a pure heart for God to use. That's why I made that video. Maintain a pure heart for God to use, because God is looking at your heart more than anything. He's looking at your heart. He's making sure that He can trust you. And that's why when you pursue something more important than the crowd, you end up leading the crowd. Because guess what? They're all amongst another. Everybody's the same. But when you stand out, and you're doing something that's more important, that's something that's going to create significant change in the environment, then guess what? When it's time for it to come to pass, everybody will then be looking up to you. Like, how did he do it? How is it possible? This and that. Now they're seeking you. And this is not for idolatry, but this is what God is. He's like, hey, whatever the circumstance, whatever it may be, whether it's leadership in the job, medicine, relationship, business, whatever it is, you have to be ready for that. For people to come up to you and you be genuine, not with a crab in the bucket mentality, like, well, no, I'm not going to tell him how I did it. That's silly. That's silly. And this is why, if you picture someone that leads an orchestra, that person has to turn his back on the crowd in order to lead the orchestra. Just think about it. In order for him to be successful and lead the way he needs to lead, he has to turn his back on the crowd so that way he can focus on what's ahead. And so when we do the same, when we are intentional about pursuing God and pursuing our dreams and these visions that you get, when it comes to pass, you'll understand why everything had to go the way it went. Granted, you might not be saying, hey, I'll redo it again, but you're like, hey, I had one go in me and that's what I did, and I'm glad it worked out. When we're able to accomplish God's will for our life, when you feel that there's something special inside of you, when God chooses you for a big task, you have to be ready to make sacrifices that you never thought you would have to make in order to achieve it. And the same thing, I had to let my job go in order to be available for my son. I had to let it go in order to be able to do this. I had to let it go in order to have a chance to accomplish my goals, to have the time. What are you willing to sacrifice to achieve something beyond what your mind can comprehend? I only have one life. I'm willing to take the risk because I believe in God. I know I talk about the Bible, but I don't even idolize the Bible. I love the Word of God, but I love God. And to love God means that you love everything less, and he is at the top of the list. And I truly believe that he will never leave nor forsake you, especially if you are pursuing the will he has for your life. So I'm like, God, I'm willing to take the risk, because I will bet that you will somehow, some way make a way. And he hasn't let me down so far. So I hope when you find yourself in periods of life when you're alone, or even if you're in a marriage and you're like, I got no friends, understand the task that God has for you requires solitude. It requires you to be alone. It requires your complete focus, because you're going to make a difference more than you've ever imagined. And like I said, I'm just mentioning one person, Tyler Perry, but I'm trying to tell you, no one could have told that man, after growing up the way he had to and things like that, that he would have one of the biggest production in the world. He did not know that. All he just kept on seeing was failure, but he never gave up. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. We only got one life. Do what you love to do and go at it relentlessly, and just watch what God does. So I hope this has been a blessing. I hope. I always pray before each video that this be a blessing to anybody that chooses to watch it. If you feel led to like, share, subscribe, definitely do so. Again, liking leads others that may need this message to this page. It's a benefit for God's kingdom, not for me. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your week. I'll be back on tomorrow. And until next time.